Now, in order to make the mobile, I'm first going to have to introduce you to this, which we call a non-adhesive glass painting film, but it's in fact sheets of plastic. There's two here. They are different thicknesses. This one, if I get it the right way around, is 1,000 microns thick, which means it's a millimeter thick, and this one is just 600 microns thick, which means it's 0.6 of a millimeter thick. And you'll notice the one on the right is a reasonable amount floppier than the one on the left. Stage right, stage left, as you're watching this. So what makes this stuff so good? Well, I have taken a bit of the covering off this one. It has coverings on both sides, protective covering on both sides. Now I've taken the white one off here, so obviously if I was working on this piece I'd work on it that way round. It doesn't look tremendously clear because it does still have a film on this side. I'm hoping if I peel that off you can see it is a totally clear plastic. So we would work on this side, leave the clear film on the back until you completely finish, and that way you don't, as you're scooting it around etc, you don't get scuffs on it and it'll remain in a nice and clear state. Reason I like it: one, it can be cut with scissors. So this is the extra thick one, this, so it's not the easiest stuff to cut, but it does cut with scissors, which is great, and not particularly for this project but for future projects we'll have on this site before too long. It does bend rather than snap, so I can make a self-standing piece of work. Obviously I wouldn't do it like that, but I can make a self-standing piece of work by just bending this plastic. Obviously I would bend it over something normally, but this plastic does bend without breaking, and that makes it perfect for a lot of glass painting projects. So we've got the two pieces. In fact we'll need at least three. I'm going to use the thick for the hanger. I'm going to use the thinner stuff for the bits which hang down. Now, as I've already said, my first task is to get the white covering off, which I'll do on both. That's one off. Not always the easiest thing to get off, but there we go. The next thing I'm going to do is to wash it. I don't know if you've noticed, it's quite dusty, a bit bitty. I believe it's sawn rather than cut. So the next thing we're going to do is wash it, so at least it's clean. So we're back. These are a bit cleaner, and what you may notice straight away is I put a tab, just peeled back the protective film on the side which has still got it and put a tab. That means I can see very quickly which side I should be working on and which side the protective film is on. Don't work on the protective film, you won't be happy when you find out. So I've got the extra thick and the thick, make sure I've got them the right way around. I'm going to do two slightly different things with them. The thick, which as I said is for the objects which are coming down, I'm just going to do normally as we would do with glass. I'm going to put my design underneath and pipe it and then paint it. I shall use a little bit of blue tack to stick the design there. Obviously I'm keeping as much of the film not used as possible because I could use it for something else. So that will go for piping in a little while. Now the extra thick is slightly different, and whenever possible with the extra thick I like to cut my work out first before I pipe and paint it, because it is a slightly harder to cut and it is more of a struggle, and I don't want to damage my work when I'm cutting it out. So I do try and cut it out first. Obviously that has its own issues, like how do you know where to cut? The solution to that is quite simple. Remember, this side here has got a backing sheet on it. So what we're going to do, this is the design for the hanger, which is what I'm using the extra thick for. And I will just cut that out roughly. And then I'm going to put some PVA glue on there, not too much, because it tends to wrinkle if you put too much on. That should do, but not too little because you want it to stick. Get my paintbrush, just spread it around a little bit. Whoops, got a bit off there, it can come on. You want to try and make sure you've got these lines done. I will reiterate it again because I'm going to stick this on in a second. I am sticking it on the side which has the protective film on, so it's not going to be any problem later. So I'm going to stick it like this on the side which has the protective film. Again, I'll keep it to the side because I might be able to use the spare at some stage. Now I will put that to one side and let it dry, and when it has, I will be able to cut out the pieces, pipe it, paint it, and then take both the backing film and the design off in one go. You should be able to actually see that here where I finish, and you can see the two slots where eventually it is going to join together like that. I won't push it all the way down now because I'm going to fix it when I do that, but that will form the hanger for our mobile. So over here I have got a designs on a piece of thin film. The glass painting techniques I use are the same as always. This is going to be flood filling because we're working on a nice flat surface. This is my yellow paint to do some stars. And I'm just going to flood fill and make sure I get it right up to the outliner. Now I'm doing these stars, well, one, if you haven't noticed, this is a space design, so stars fit very well. But the other reason for doing these little stars is you notice I've got 4 larger pieces which will go on each arm of the hanger. Well, the stars will help balance things up if there's any issue with the hanger pulling to one side. So I can use the stars for balance. I'll put some on anyway, but the amount I put on each arm will depend on the balance. So at this stage I'm just doing the stars, getting them nice and smooth. And making sure the paint goes up to the outliner. Obviously once this has been painted, we'll be ready to cut them out. Right, I think that'll do for the yellow for now. Whoops, I can see a bit of mist. There we go. I'll work out the other colours in a bit. But once that has been painted, it will be ready to be cut out. And I have in fact already got a sheet over here. Again, it is the thick film, not the extra thick, just the thick. And as you can see, I finish painting these. I've chosen to do these, I have done them in clear glass paint, but there's no need to paint them at all, actually, these portholes, but you can choose to do differently if you wish. And as you can see, this film, I'll say it's relatively easy to cut. I'm not going to say it's very easy, because it isn't, but it is relatively easy to cut. Certainly easier than the extra thick over there. Again, it's clear film, so if you don't want to, you don't have to cut every single little bit out, because it won't really be seen as it's clear. And don't forget, we do still have the backing sheet on here. As I said, I tend to leave it until right at the end before I take the backing sheet off. Good pair of scissors is always good in this situation. So if you leave me, I will finish off painting those pieces. I will paint the two top pieces for the hanger, and I will cut everything out. As you can see, I've been busy. I have finished painting all my pieces and I've cut them out. So let's just move most of those to the side, because for the final bit of this stage, I've remembered I need to take the backing sheet off every piece. Now this can be quite difficult, so I start it with a knife. Just peel that away, and you should then see your piece on the nice clear plastic film. Let's see, yeah, that one's already started, so we can peel that away. That's that one done. Obviously this is one of the cross beams for the holder. And that's got a tab in it as well, so that's easy to do. Oops, it's broken there. Let's try and get that, there we go. And one more to do. Now I don't know if you can see, when I painted these holders, I just left a little line where one's going to slot into the other. I may need to touch that up with a bit of paint at the end, but we won't worry about that now. Let's try and get rid of those bits, and this is the last one to get the backing off. There we go. And that's the backing of all of them. Now, I don't know whether you can see, no you probably can't. I've got a little candle burning here, and my very expensive patented tool here. I don't know whether you can see that clearly. It is an unravelled paperclip, or most of the paperclip unravelled, and a bit of blue tack. Now be careful doing this, but what I'm going to do is heat that up. Get it nice and hot, and then just stick it through the film like that, so you can see. And obviously that's left a hole in the film. I shall do that with every piece, and I will obviously need to do it with the hanger. If I had that in there long enough then. Yeah, hole in that one. For the hanger, I obviously want to make sure they're on, or in the same place on each hanger. And I'll also, it's hanging that way round. You just put that, I won't put it in the whole way, but just to show you, it's going to go in that way around, although it has gone the whole way. I will need holes at the top to hold the top string and holes at the bottom for the mobile to come out of. I will probably put holes, I would imagine 1, 2, maybe 3 holes on each arm coming out. So once I've done that, I'm using needle and cotton to put these on. You can use cotton, you can use a nice thin fishing wire if you've got it. And I'm going to string these all up at various lengths so they hang down at various lengths. One more thing to mention about this though, with most of them, like say this one, I'm just going to put a hole at the top and it'll hang down. And some, however, probably this one, I should put a hole towards the top and a hole on the fin so it can hang sideways. I'll show you what I mean. It'll be easier to see when I've got them all strung, which I'll carry on and do, firstly by making the holes, and then come back to it and we'll put the whole thing together. So as you can see, I've now strung these together. That's that one, and the busier one, let me just put that to the one side. And this is a slightly busier one. Obviously I've tried to do it so there's space so there's a gap between each of the elements. You'll notice on the other one I did 4 holes, on this I've done 5. I have done one here close to the centre. A couple of other little things to point out. One, some I've put holes in the bottom of the piece and strung it in tandem just to give sort of that extra dimension. And I will just mention, when I made the holes, sometimes there's a little burr on the back which I did cut off with my craft knife. Now the final thing I need to do is to string the top of these. There's a hole there and a hole there, roughly equidistant from the centre. And what I will be doing is putting a piece of thread, actually will come through the back there. No. Actually, it's not going to make a lot of difference, so we will go through the back there and through the front there. That will be one, and obviously I'll do the same on the other one. You don't get a very good view of that, do you? I will do the same on the other one and then glue the two together and hang it up. So hopefully next time you see it, you'll see the finished item. But let me just try and show you roughly what it will look like. It can be slightly difficult now I've done that. That will be that one, and then this one should slot in down there, and that will roughly be the completed piece. But let me get that together. Can you see that there? Let me get that together, and then we'll be able to hang it up and show you a nice picture of it completed.